भगवते वासुदेवाय. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Hare Krishna. Anyacha mudayo brahman brahmaratadayo mala sisyai ta ajagmu kasyapangira sadaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We can read the word to word and translation, and then by then hopefully Mataji will join us. Prabhuji, are you able to read the word to word? Prabhuji, I can't hear you.
Correction, Mataji. Anye.
Yes. Anye.
Many others.
Many others.
Cha.
Cha.
Also.
Also.
Munayaha.
Munayaha.
Sages.
Sages.
Brahman.
Brahman.
O Brahmanas.
O Brahmanas.
Brahmarada.
Brahmarata.
Sukadeva Goswami.
Sukadev Goswami.
Adayaha.
Adayaha.
And such others.
And such others.
Amalaha.
Amalaha.
Completely purified.
Completely purified.
Sisyahi.
Sishyahi.
By the disciples.
By the disciples.
Ubidaha.
Upetaha.
Accompanied.
Accompanied.
Ajamuk.
Ajamuha.
Ajamuha, sorry. Arrived.
Arrived.
Hasyaba.
Kashyapa.
Kashyaba.
Kashyapa.
Angirasa.
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 Angrisha.
Adayaha.
Adayaha.
Others.
Others.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
And many others like Sukadeva Goswami and others purified souls. Kasyapa and Angirasa and others all accompanied by their respective disciples arrived theirs. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Would you like to read some purport?
Okay.
Then I can continue. The first paragraph, then I can continue.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami, Brahmarada, the famous son and disciple of Sri Vyasadeva, who taught him first the Mahabharata and then Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami recited 1.4 million verses of the Mahabharata in the council of the Gandharvas, Yakshas and Rakshasas, and he recited Sri Bhagavatam for the first time in the presence of Maharaja Parikshit. He thoroughly studied and all the Vedic literatures from his great father. Thus, he was a completely purified soul by dint of his extensive knowledge in the principle of religion. From Mahabharata, Sabha Parva 4.11, it is understood that he was also present in the royal assembly of Maharaja Yudhishthira and at the fasting of Maharaja Parikshit. As a bona fide disciple of Sri Vyasadeva, he inquired from his father very attentively about religious principles and spiritual values. And his great father also satisfied him by teaching him the yoga system by which one can attain the spiritual kingdom. The difference between fruitive works and empiric knowledge, the ways and means of attaining spiritual realization. The four asramas, namely the student's life and householder life, the retired life, and the renounced life. The sublime position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the process of seeing Him face to face, the bona fide candidate for receiving knowledge, the consideration of the five elements, the unique position of intelligence, the consciousness of the material nature and the living entity, the symptom of the self-realization soul, the working principle of the material body, the symptom of the influential mode of nature, the tree of perpetual desire, the six activities. The sometime he went to the sun planet with the permission of his father and Naradaji. Description of his travel in pace are given in the Sandiparva of the Mahabharata 332. At last, he attained the transcendental realm. He is known by different names like Araneya, Arunisuda, Vyasagi, and Vyasa Maja. Krishna Mataji. Please
Hare
take
Krishna.
over.
Kashyapa, one of the Prajapatis, the son of Marichi, and one of the son-in-laws of Prajapati Daksha. He is the father of the gigantic bird Garuda and was given elephants and tortoises as eatables. He married 13 daughters of Prajapati Daksha, and their names are Aditi, Diti, Danu, Kashta, Arishta, Surasha, Ila, Muni, Krodvasa, Tamra, Surabhi, Sarama, and Timi. He begot many children, both demigods and demons, by those wives. From his first wife, Aditi, all the 12 Adityas were born. One of them is Vamana, the incarnation of Godhead. The next sage, Kashyapa, was also present at the time of Arjuna's birth. He received a presentation of the whole world from Parshuram, and later on, he asked Parshuram to go out of the world. His other name is Arintanemi. He lived on the northern side of the universe. Angirasha, he's the son of Maharaj Angira and is known as Brahaspati, the priest of the demigods. He said that Dronacharya was his partial incarnation. Shukracharya was the spiritual master of the demons, and Brahaspati challenged him, his son Kacha, and he delivered the fire weapon called Bharadwaj Muni. He begot 6 sons like the fire god by his wife Chandramasi, one of the reputed stars. He could travel in space, and therefore he could present himself even in the planets of Brahmaloka and Indraloka. He advised the king of heaven, Indra, after conquering the demons. Once he crushed Indra, who thus had the power a hog on earth and was unwilling to return to heaven. Such is the power of attraction of illusionary energy. Even a hog does not wish to part with his earthly possessions in exchange of heavenly kingdom. He was the religious preceptor of the natives of different planets. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined the group, Mataji, and are about to join. Mataji, we have started reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is the passing away of Bhishma Deva. And the text for today is text 8, Mataji. So we've read the text, translation purport. Mataji, would you like us to do the Mangalacharan before we start and then hand over to you?
So can I do the Mangalacharan?
Yes, we haven't done the Mangalacharan.
Okay, wonderful. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswati Tato Jayamati Srinvata Swagata Krishna Punesh Kirtana Hridayanta Stoki Bhavani Vidunoti Sukrit Sadam Nashta Prayeshu Apadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Happy Diwali and a Happy New Year, Mataji.
Yes, happy Diwali. And this is, of course, our new year. Thank you, Mataji. With your blessings and prayers, hope I'm able to perform a lot of service to the Lordships and please all the devotees and the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, bless us as well so we can increase our sadhana and walk on the spiritual path and journey and discover
Yes,
ourselves.
Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let our, I think Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day was yesterday. So let Srila Prabhupada bless all of us so that we all are happily engaged in performing sincere seva to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So if you look at the 9th chapter, it's a beautiful chapter which unveils so many interesting themes that we would be seeing and relishing from Bhishma Dev's pastime. So first we'll do a recap till 8 verses, and then go to our 8th verse and talk more about it. Now, the first verse is talking about the fact at Kurukshetra, being afraid for having killed so many subjects, Yudhishthira, desiring to understand Dharma, went to Kurukshetra where Bhishma Dev had fallen. We will try to elaborate on this a little more in today's class, what this means. Of course, you would have seen this particular verse, but I just wanted to give you sort of Mahabharat's context to this particular verse. Then 2 to 3, accompanied by the brothers Krishna, sages like Vyasa and Daumya, the Yudhishthira appeared very aristocratic like Kuvera surrounded by Guhyakas. Seeing Bhishma Dev lying on the ground like a demigod fallen from the sky, the Pandavas and Lord Krishna bowed down before him. The 5th to 8th verse is talking about great souls from all the universe had assembled to see Bhishma Dev. Not only who are the great souls? We have great souls listed here: Parvata, Narada, Bharadwaja, Parashuram, Vashishta, Gautama, Atri, Sukadev Goswami, Kashyapa, Angirasha, etc., as well as their disciples. So this is what is the context for today's episode. So we can all understand that at one point Yudhishthira Maharaj was not happy about the subjects being killed. He lamented for it, and then what happened? After that, we see that they have come to the spot where Bhishma Dev is there, lying in the bed of arrows. And when you zoom the cameras on Bhishma Dev, who all are there in that particular scene? Very big rishis and disciples of them are all there assembling in front of Bhishma Dev. So this is what we have so far. So hope you are able to picturize that particular scene. Lot of great people are there, and then Bhishma Dev is lying on the bed of arrows. Now we have Yudhishthira lamenting. So again, we have a particular scenario here that we'll be discussing in great depth in today's class. Okay, let's get started with our today's verse. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So now we see that Yudhishthira Maharaj is unconsolable, isn't it? He's not able to be consoled. A lot of people tried to console him, but he was not consolable. So Krishna arranges for Yudhishthira Maharaj to come to Bhishma Dev to actually take lessons from Bhishma Dev. The battle was over. It has already been several days since the battle of Kurukshetra ended. And Yudhishthira Maharaj became the emperor. He is in Hastinapur now. But Bhishma Dev, according to, Bhishma Dev has got a boon. He could leave his body at his will. Okay. So why didn't Bhishma Dev leave the body yet? This is a big question mark. So again, if it was just to see Hastinapur being ruled under a proper ruler, then Yudhishthira Maharaj, it has already been done. Yudhishthira Maharaj won the battle and he is now the emperor. So why didn't Bhishma Dev leave his body? Are you able to understand this question? Isn't it? See, what was Bhishma Dev's intention? He could leave his body at will. Now that Yudhishthira Maharaj is perfectly situated in the throne and he is a great ruler, why doesn't Bhishma Dev want to leave his body now? So there are two considerations here. Again, one is a material consideration, another is a spiritual consideration. The material consideration, what is that? What is the material consideration? It is that he was waiting for the auspicious moment of Uttarayana. What is Uttarayana? The sun changes its course in its direction. This time is considered to be very auspicious. And if anybody leaves the body at that time, then the doors of heaven are open for him. This is what Mahabharata says as a consideration. So in Mahabharata, it is said that Bhishma Dev was waiting for Uttarayan to leave his body so he could go to heaven. This is point number one. Point number two. Isn't there a spiritual consideration, which is actually the real consideration? Absolutely, yes. What is that spiritual consideration, Mataji? Yes, he was waiting for Krishna. He wanted to leave his body looking at Krishna. Are you able to visualize this? Mahajan like Bhishma, an authority in devotional service, in bhakti, is waiting for the moment when he can take the darshan of Lord Krishna and then leave his body while taking darshan of Krishna. What about the other point? Would he be waiting for an auspicious moment to go to heaven? This is not what Srimad Bhagavatam is highlighting. What do you expect when people go to heaven? Why do people want to go in the heaven in the first place? Going to heaven gives us an opportunity for sense gratification for an extended period of time, isn't it? You get good food, you get to enjoy with beautiful members of the opposite sex, and a lot of opulence, and a long life of enjoyment, material enjoyment. Who would be asking for those things? Not a devotee, right? A devotee will actually be asking for things that are spiritual. How can I serve Krishna in his abode? What sort of service can I perform? And they sort of established that Sai Bhav, the relationship with the Lord, while in this material world by performing the sadhana. So to go to the heavens to enjoy there for a long period of time is not something a devotee wants. An intelligent person would not want to stay in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada, he gives us an example of a prisoner. He says, there is a first-class prisoner, there is a second-class prisoner, and a third-class prisoner. The first-class prisoner is put in a nice house. He will have bed, he'll have his own kitchen, maybe a personal cook who's cooking for him. He'll have his own library. Nevertheless, he's in his house. He's under house arrest. He doesn't have freedom to go wherever he likes or call people and talk to them. Whereas a third-class prisoner, his conditions are pretty bad. He doesn't even have a facility like that of a first-class prisoner. So, Srila Prabhupada, what is he trying to say? If the goal of a prisoner is to just improve his position from being a first-class prisoner to third-class prisoner, that is not what an intelligent person will consider as his goal. Would that be considered intelligence, first of all? No. An intelligent person will try to get out of the prison as soon as possible. It's an emergency. So living in this material world is a prison. This material world is nothing but a prison house. So with this, we understand that in Mahabharata, although it is said Bhishma Dev was waiting for Uttarayan, the idea of him leaving the body at Uttarayan to go to the heavenly planets is not the real reason. Again, we already saw from the first canto, fifth chapter, how Vyasadeva was actually despondent. And then Narada came and asked, what is the reason for your despondency? And Narada, in fact, pointed to Vyasadeva, telling him that your despondent condition is due to the fact you did not glorify bhakti. You did not point out the ultimate goal of human life, that is prema. Since you have not sufficiently glorified bhakti and you have not pointed out the ultimate goal to people, your heart is not pleased. Your heart will be pleased when you glorify Krishna, when you talk about the process of devotional service, substantiating what is the goal of our human form of life. That is when your heart will be pleased. So Mahabharata is written for less intelligent people who are not able to study Vedas, understand the Vedanta, come to the conclusion or the essence of Vedanta. So in Mahabharata, you will be seeing, you will see it is giving the essence of Karmakanda section of the Vedas. So if you want to understand the meaning of Mahabharata, you have to study Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, you will find contradictions between Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam at several places. So actually, the reality, if you want to understand, the real reality, if you want to understand, then Mahabharata should be understood from Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like it is said here that Bhishma Dev was waiting for Uttarayan, but Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand Bhishma Dev is a devotee of the Lord and he is waiting for Krishna. So someone who has lived all his life as a devotee of Krishna, what is the perfection of his life? Whatever devotional service you have done in your life will be tested at the time of death. So the perfection of our life is to be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. And for a person who actually lives his life in devotional service, even if he is not able to remember Krishna, because it is very difficult. At the time of death, it's very difficult. All the holes of the body, they are all blocked by mucus. There is a difficulty in breathing. The throat is all choked up and you're not even able to speak anything. And your mind, it is completely bewildered because of severe pain and anxiety. And you don't know what is going to come next. And you have to keep your life holding on to it. It's very difficult situation mentally, emotionally, physically, on all levels. So what are the chances that somebody may remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death? King Kulashekara, he is praying, my Lord, I won't be able to remember you at that time. Please, let me leave my body now. When I'm strong and healthy, when I'm able to remember you, when I'm able to chant your glories, let me leave my body now. But devotee, actually for a devotee, one who has lived his life for Krishna, by following the process of devotional service, it is not like that. The devotee leaves his body very peacefully. The devotee leaves his body by remembering Krishna. Even if he is not able to remember Krishna, Krishna makes arrangement for him to remember him. Krishna personally comes in front of a devotee. In the case of Ajamil, even though he was not a devotee, he chanted the name of the Lord. And the Lord sent his agents. At the time of death, what happened? Yamadutas had come for him. They were pulling out the soul from his body. And he was in great anxiety and fear. And immediately the Vishnu Dutas came and stopped the Yamadutas and saved him from that fearful condition. Why? Because he chanted the holy names of the Lord. For Dhruva Maharaj, the Lord sent the Vishnu Dutas in the aeroplane. Vaikuntha aeroplane was personally sent to Dhruva Maharaj so that he can be sent to Vaikuntha. And in the case of Bhishma Dev, the Lord is personally coming and standing in front of Bhishma Dev. So Krishna is the one. One of Krishna's qualities is when somebody renders devotional service to him, he feels so grateful. He never forgets it. And there are so many examples. Srila Prabhupada, how did he leave his body? It appeared. He was completely peaceful. In one of the lectures, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he was personally present there when Prabhupada left his body. I heard his lecture, and it is saying we couldn't even we couldn't even tell when Prabhupada left his body because Prabhupada was completely peaceful. And Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was standing nearby, and it looks like he pointed out, saying, "Oh yeah, he's chanting, he's chanting." And so then, when they observed, his lips was moving very rhythmically. They couldn't hear, they couldn't see, but when they noticed slowly, he was constantly chanting. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj also quotes another devotee from London. This devotee had a cancer. And she went through treatment and all that. And finally, the doctor said that she has only 7 days left. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he was in USA at that particular time. And this particular devotee was in London. So she called him and arranged for her to talk to him over the phone. And she said, "I had a dream, Maharaj, yesterday that you had come to see me." Actually, she was in Mayapur before that. She didn't want to go, but her family was in great anxiety. She's not getting any treatment in Mayapur, so she has to go to London before her situation worsens. So they all asked her, "Please go back to London for your treatment." She didn't want to go. She wanted to leave her body in Mayapur. And His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ordered her that she should go back to London. "After your treatment, you can come back to Mayapur," he said. So on this order, she went back. And actually, her condition worsened. And then the doctor said, obviously, she has only 7 days. And we know that. And so now, she was also considering the option of going to Vrindavan, it looks like, because the facilities in Vrindavan was better compared to Mayapur. Again, we are talking about this incident happened in 2005. So you can understand how the facilities now are obviously very much, they're all medically equipped with a lot of things in Mayapur and Vrindavan. But then back in 2005, this was not the case. So now, all of a sudden, so Maharaj actually happened to come to visit. I mean, from USA, he happened to come to see her personally in London. I mean, after this phone conversation, Maharaj was so kind, and he happened to come and be with this devotee. And what he saw was that so many devotees were coming and looking at her, and there was constant Harinam Sankirtan that was happening throughout. So Maharaj felt that she was actually in Vrindavan atmosphere. Even though she was not in Vrindavan, she was in London. Maharaj actually felt that she was in Vrindavan because we have to tune our mind to be in Vrindavan. We have to be in Vrindavan conscious all the time. That is Krishna consciousness, isn't it? So Maharaj told her, what did he tell her? You just stay here. Krishna is here. Vrindavan is here. So many devotees are here. This is Vrindavan for you. And she actually stayed. She was able to live for 3 more weeks. So many devotees came to see her, and she left her body in the presence of a lot of devotees. She was chanting on her japa beats when she left the body, and this is what happened. So this is perfection of life, isn't it? If we are able to remember Krishna during the time when we are present, actually, then this is what will help us to remember Krishna at the time of death. And remembrance is actually it's not an easy thing. It's to remember is not easy at all. Hearing Shravanam, we keep some audio and we hear. Okay, that is okay. And then what happens? Kirtanam, coming under the association of devotees and glorifying Lord's names. That is also okay. But to remember Krishna is difficult. How many times are we able to remember Krishna and contemplate about his pastimes, meditate on his pastimes? This remembrance happens when we get purified, dear devotees. It's not easy. Remembrance happens only after sufficient purification has happened in our heart. So definitely we need to work on that. How can we work on that? By constantly hearing and performing the kirtanam and the other limbs of devotional service, this remembrance will come. That is why everybody, it is always said it's very difficult to remember. Remember, even during, even when we live a hale and healthy life, it's difficult to remember. What to talk about death then? Hope you are able to understand what remembrance is and how difficult it is to remember Krishna. So this is how, when devotees leave the body, especially when chanting the glories of the holy names of the Lord, it is perfection. Srila Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, his lectures are there, how a devotees die to live. For devotees, that is not the end. It is not like saying goodbye. No, they depart to connect in a deeper way. This is what Bhaktitirtha Maharaj says. For devotees, departure is victory. They have become victorious because why? They're going back to Krishna. They have lived their life in Krishna consciousness. So when a devotee is leaving, Krishna is personally coming for such a devotee. Another example from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Haridas Thakur, he was leaving the body and Mahaprabhu came, and not just Mahaprabhu, he brought the whole party of Sankirtan, all the devotees, they all performed tumultuous Kirtan, and Haridas Thakur was holding the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his heart, gazing at his moon-like face at the time of death. And Mahaprabhu chanting Krishna's names. Mahaprabhu and everyone there was chanting. And then we have Haridas Thakur saying, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and he left his body. So seeing the glorious departure of Haridas Thakur, Mahaprabhu personally picked up Haridas, his dear devotee Haridas Thakur, on his own arms and started dancing. Mahaprabhu personally performed the last rites. He personally begged for donations to arrange for the feast for Haridas Thakur, for the last rites to be performed, for the feast, to arrange for the feast. And he personally served prasadam to all the devotees. So when a devotee lives his life by doing devotional service, it is always a win-win situation. When such a devotee departs, Krishna feels obligated to personally come for the devotee. And how such great devotee is departing, to see this and to learn from this, how to perfect our own lives. It's very important. All these spiritual personalities have come now to be a part of this glorious moment. In Bhishma Dev's case, we are seeing there is a whole list of devotees you have read, right? This text and the previous text is talking about such glorious devotees. So wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is devotee, what is there? Success is there. So all the sages have come to become a part of that. In this verse, we are seeing Sukadev Goswami, Kashyapa Muni, Angira Muni. He's the priest of the Devatas, the demigods. Even he came to see Bhishma Dev. So we can understand from this kind of luminaries that were visiting Bhishma Dev, what kind of personality Bhishma Dev is. Imagine, Vyasadeva is coming to visit him. Sukadev Goswami, who's the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, is coming to visit him. Narada Muni is coming to visit him. Brihaspati is coming to visit him. These personalities are no ordinary personalities. Kashyapa Muni is the father of Vamanadev, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is coming to visit him. So we should understand, when these people have come to visit him, it's not ordinary. Right? We understand Bhishma Dev is one of the 12 Mahajans. And again, if you look at Bhishma Dev, from his qualification, from his material designation, he was a Kshatriya. Not that some ordinary kings from different parts of the world came to see him because he was a Kshatriya. No, we have a varied combination of people, not only the kings, but also rishis and sages have come to visit Bhishma Dev. Say, for example, I definitely have to make a comparison to help you understand how special is Bhishma Dev. Because, say, for example, a businessman dies. All the business people will assemble there. Oh, big shots. All of them, business people from various, sectors or whatever that person is noted for, all of them will come and assemble there at the time of his death. But you see, Bhishma Dev, he's a Kshatriya. And it's not that just the Kshatriyas are coming to visit him. That is the contrast I want to show. It is great rishis, the personalities who are living in the upper planetary systems that are coming to see him, so they can understand the spiritual position of Bhishma Dev, even though he was playing a role of a Kshatriya. He's an eminent spiritualist, recognized all over the world, all over this universe, not even this world. His fame was just not limited to this world. He was famous all over the universe. And such is the personality, Bhishma Dev, that we are talking about. So, when you look at these personalities, why is Srimad Bhagavatam mentioning these names? Because Bhagavatam is explaining their qualification in one word, which is Amala. It says all these personalities who visited Bhishma Dev, they were purified souls. In Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter 10th verse, the personalities who are freed from raga, who are freed from the attachment by fear, krodha, and manmaya, who are completely absorbed in me, who have taken shelter in me, they have become purified. And such is the nature of the purified souls. They have completely become free from attachment to fear, anger, and they are completely absorbed in me. They have taken shelter in me. And such persons, what happens? They are completely purified. What's the status quo of those persons? These people are completely purified. And through purification, they have attained my love. So such people have also come here. Purified souls have come here to visit Bhishma Dev. So he's not an ordinary person. Not only did they come alone, they have brought thousands of their disciples. Because they are looking forward to hear what Bhishma Dev has to speak currently. Again, if you look at us, we are not even qualified to come in their association. And they have come to hear from Bhishma Dev. So how important and what important topic is Bhishma Dev going to speak is something we need to understand. This is the mood we need to understand, because this is a high confidential subject matter. And this subject matter, who are all going to hear? The great rishis and sages, they want to hear what Bhishma Dev has to speak. So it's such an important subject matter, dear devotees. We cannot take it lightly. This is what I want to tell, to create the eagerness in you so that you can hear Srimad Bhagavatam attentively. Now, first verse we saw, very important. We need to understand and mentally travel back to that time. Okay, so now the first verse was saying about Yudhishthira lamenting, right? So we'll just talk a little bit about that particular episode. The big war is over. We have to mentally travel back to time for us to feel something. If we can imagine we are there, yes, that's good. The pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can meet Krishna as a person, but we have to meet him there in the episode, what we are talking about. So Srimad Bhagavatam describes how Krishna was about to leave Hastinapur for Dwaraka after the big war. And what happened in previous episode? Kunti ran to him and begged him, and Krishna stayed for a few days and then decided to leave again. Then Yudhishthira came to him, and Yudhishthira said, stay here. Krishna looked at him and said, I'm staying. I'm here just as long as necessary. And Mahabharata described that Yudhishthira wept non-stop at that time after the battle of Kurukshetra. Non-stop, he was weeping. It is very unlikely for the men to cry even in this material world. Imagine, dear devotees, how many times have you seen men crying? Because women are emotional. Women have emotions, so they can cry. We have seen episodes of that. But then it is very unlikely that a man cry, isn't it? Especially now, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's a Kshatriya. And he's weeping here. So Mahabharata describes that Yudhishthira wept non-stop at the time of Battle of Kurukshetra. When it dawned on him what had happened, what he had caused, Yudhishthira could not calm down. Usually, when we fight, we are in the mode of passion. We are in the state of passion. We don't think. We don't know what we are doing. But then it dawns on us later, right? The same thing happened to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj was told, you are the emperor now. You can sit on the throne. Sit on the throne. The words were like knife in the heart, because Yudhishthira Maharaj began to think, for the sake of this, millions of people were killed. Now I sit on the throne, sitting on the throne and enjoying the kingdom. I'm just a rascal trying to sit on this throne. How can I afford this? Yudhishthira Maharaj even began to think Duryodhana was a good ruler. People loved him. What is the point of having this war? The whole war was just to please my ambition. Yudhishthira, being a devotee, he could not forgive himself. It is impossible for a devotee to imagine how another person can be hurt. And he felt he has caused more pain. When Yudhishthira Maharaj went to the streets, he heard people weeping, wailing. Women were left widows. They lost their sons. They wept incessantly. In India, we can see there is this custom: when a husband dies, the wife will cry for months. The women were weeping, and the weeping was in the ears of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And wherever he went, the cry followed him. He thought, well, okay, Duryodhana was envious. I killed him for nothing. But at least he did something bad to me. But what harm has he done? What harm has been done to these people? These people, I mean, see, I and Duryodhana, we have personal problems. But what about these people? They had no problem whatsoever. And now we see women without husbands, and then children without parents, and then sometimes parents without children. Yudhishthira heard this cry and he didn't know what to do, where to go from this. He could not even sleep. Why did I fight? I fought for my sense gratification. Yudhishthira began to look into his heart. Only to amuse me, I fought. How many people I killed? Like this, he started to lament. Duryodhana collected 11 the 11 Ashwakanis, right? The Pandavas who had only 7. And most of the people, and Duryodhana, he was just after the army. And we all know Arjuna wanted the side of Krishna and not the army so much. Yudhishthira thought, it's all because of me. Bhishma was killed. And because of me, Drona was killed. Because of me only, Karna was also killed. Yudhishthira thought, this is just me. And he began to look at the eyes of Subhadra, the wife of Arjuna, and her only son was also killed because of me only. He took all the blame, all the responsibilities, because he was a devotee. The devotee takes responsibility for everything. The devotee does not listen to when people are telling him, you're not the cause for all this. The devotee always feels guilty. And Yudhishthira thought, I am to be blamed. I definitely am responsible for all of them, for Drona's death, for Karna's death, for Bhishma's death, Ashwatthama's death, everything I'm the reason. Bhishma, he dropped his prow and stopped fighting. Arjuna started shooting him at that time. They killed Bhishma by trickery. And even Drona was killed by trickery. And what about Karna? Yudhishthira began to think, he's my elder brother. How was he killed? In a dishonest way. His wheel got stuck and the wheel of chariot plunged into the mud, and he jumped off the chariot in order to pull the wheel out. And I asked him. He just asked me, only 1 minute I need to get this wheel out. But Arjuna at that time tricked him to killing his elder brother. So it's all because of me. Yudhishthira thought, when we were playing dice, Duryodhana and Karna came out and Karna started laughing at us. And he was uttering cruel words. I looked at his feet and, I saw that his feet was like my mother's feet. I look at his face and I see there is a resemblance of his face to Kunti's face. Why does he look like Kunti? Why is his feet looking like Kunti also? Yudhishthira reproaches himself by thinking about all these episodes. Didn't I think of it then? I killed my elder brother. What is the excuse? No, even it is impossible for people if you think at Yudhishthira Maharaj's position, for the people of Vedic civilization to kill someone who's older than them, it's unbelievable for them. Yudhishthira began to remember Karna. He began to say how noble he was, how generous he was. He started remembering about the fact when Indra happened to come to him, he took off his armor. Even though it was so much attached to his body, he took out that and blood started oozing out. Karna took it off and gave it to him. There are endless memories like this that are haunting him. You should imagine that this Yudhishthira Maharaj was continuously tormented and haunted by all these episodes that were reeling in his mind. He couldn't stop the flow of mind because these thoughts came and haunted him. What have I done? What have I done? In the end, he called everyone and said, I'm going to go to the forest. Arjuna, this is my order to you. You will become the emperor now. I'm going to go to the forest. Again, these details are from Mahabharata devotees. And now that I'm just elaborating on the first verse so as to speak. So now he's saying, we lived already in the forest for 12 years and I'll be in the forest. I'll perform penance. I'll eat roots and some fruits. I'll do some penance and atone for my sin because this sin cannot be atoned for. That's it. I'm going to leave now. And Arjuna, he tried to convince him. Bhima, he began to say, what are you doing? Is it what we have fought for? Everything is fine. Everything is all right. What are you trying to do now, Yudhishthira? Nakula and Sakadev also began to persuade him. You're the king. We didn't say a word when you lost the dice. We followed you into the forest. We lived. We never reproached you. Why do you grieve now that justice has been done? You've become the king. In order for you to become the king, we followed you. Where are you going now? Now, all these questions are being told, and Yudhishthira was completely deaf. Draupadi also began to speak to him. 5 of your children have been killed. Draupadi told him, everything is fine. Do not lament. You should calm down, Yudhishthira Maharaj. Vyasa, he began to speak one after another, one quoting one scripture after another. Yudhishthira, do your duty and sit on the throne. Are the scriptures justifying killing? Justifying the pain? What are you trying to tell me? Narada also began to explain to him. Yudhishthira remained deaf. Krishna then spoke. And Yudhishthira Maharaj said, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Everybody tried their best to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, but he was not at all pacified. We saw so many people are trying to tell something to him, but his ears were deaf. So, Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that Krishna from the heart performed an incredible feat to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He can do, nobody could convince Yudhishthira Maharaj. Nobody. So from the heart as a super soul, he did not allow Yudhishthira to hear himself. Isn't it? So this means Krishna has greater plans to glorify his devotee, Bhishma Dev. This is why Krishna, he doesn't want him to be glorified. He also tried, but Yudhishthira was not listening to him. So ultimately, Krishna wanted to be personally present before Bhishma Dev at the time of him leaving his body. And he also wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev by actually having him speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj and giving him instructions. So Krishna wanted Bhishma to do what he failed to do for Bhishma. He wanted Bhishma to convince Yudhishthira so that he could be famous for all ages to come. So it's okay, even if he is not able to convince Yudhishthira Maharaj, that's perfectly fine, but his devotee, Bhishma, has to be glorified. His devotee, Bhishma, was able to do it so easily. And because of this, Bhishma's fame spread across 3 worlds. Bhishma was chanting, his holy names on the bed of arrows and was waiting for Krishna to come. In order to fulfill Bhishma's desire at the same time, Maharaj Yudhishthira should be freed from this illusion of attachment and delusion. Krishna did not allow Maharaj Yudhishthira to be convinced. He created this illusion in his heart. And Krishna did not allow it to dissipate. Yeah, he not only created this illusion in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj, but he did not want that illusion to go out of his heart until he came and spoke to Bhishma Dev. This was Krishna's plan. So I just sort of wanted to give you the context and the background to the story so that you can definitely relish the episode of Bhishma Dev in the classes to come. So this mood has to be set. We have to be fired up to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And that can be made only when we sort of induce that curiosity and help you understand the importance of who this person is. It is also important to see if somebody is preaching, it's important to actually know the qualifications of the speaker so that you are all eager and enthused to hear from the speaker. So likewise, we have to definitely glorify who this personality is so that you will all be enthusiastic to hear him forward. I mean, this episode of Bhishma Dev is such a glorious episode. I really can't wait for the other classes to come. But with this, I would stop, dear devotees. Thank you so much for your time and patience listening. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhyeva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for building this up for us and making us even more curious. After the whole Bhagavad Gita was said, now what more is left to say? So, now that you are saying that there is important things that Bhishma Dev is going to say, we are really curious. But are there any questions or comments? No more questions or comments. Mataji, as I was growing up, they used to say that when you are dying, the pain is so much, the soul does not want to leave the body. And it is like 1,000 scorpions or million scorpions biting you. So it's a very painful process. But yet, there are lots of people who die very peacefully. You just said Srila Prabhupada, we cannot compare ourselves with him, but he passed on very peacefully by chanting. So for these great devotees who die very peacefully or who passes on very peacefully, there is no pain, or what happens? Do they blank the pain out, or what is the physiology? What happens to them?
Beautiful question, Mataji. Very interesting and a practical question. So the devotees who are there, even in the current moment, in the present, the pain is, you will not feel the pain. It is directly proportional to your absorption in Krishna consciousness. So as I told you, tolerance is directly proportional to absorption in Krishna consciousness. This devotee who's perfected his life by actually living a life in Krishna consciousness will not be able to see the pain. He will go above the pain and he will be able to recognize Krishna and remember Krishna. And Krishna will personally come to him to relieve the pain also. We don't know. He will personally come to relieve such pains. And this also happens with the sadhana, right? With the advancement in devotional service, even the material pains This dualities do not, the devotee doesn't have dualities because he sees everything as a mercy of Krishna. So this tolerance, this dualities, these material things, all this is looked up by a devotee with a different perspective altogether. So in the case of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj or in the case of Srila Prabhupada, everybody for that matter, I don't think the scorpion pain or anything would be felt by such devotees because they are going to Krishna. Krishna is going to take them. Imagine there is a Vaikuntha plane or a Goloka plane that is waiting to take these individuals back home to Godhead. So it will be a smooth transition for them who have perfected their lives. So, such a glorious thing. Definitely. That's why it doesn't matter of birth or death, they are going to be with Krishna all the time and serve the mission. So hope that helps, Mataji.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. That is great motivation for us to absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Any more comments or questions? We are almost, yes, Panchali.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the wonderful class. So it's just a question comment. So throughout the Mahabharata, we see so many characters who sometimes don't really act according to what we would expect them to act. So whether so we are talking about Bhishma Pitamaha. So we see him being with the Kauravas, and we see him, he was waiting for such a long time to give up his life. We see Karna being a Danvir, and then he also had the other side. We see now Yudhishthira Maharaj acting in a way, he was the wisest of all, and yet he wasn't able to grasp the idea of wisdom as to why those people are attacked. And similarly, there are so many characters in the whole of Mahabharata who actually don't act according to what we would expect them to act. So do we understand from this that the whole of Mahabharata, although when the whole of Mahabharata, it's basically Krishna, it's a whole big Krishna Leela, that Krishna is basically asking or wanting people to act as he would want them to act, so that he can make a point through that.
So, Mataji, to your question, it's a beautiful question, Mataji. It's a very relevant question, a practical question. So what we see in Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam has to be viewed with a different set of eyes, first of all. So for Mahabharata to be seen as such, it is written for less intelligent people and karmakandis. So they work by the principle of Dharma Shastras. Dharma, this is Dharma, that is Adharma. That's all. That is the mood that they carry. Okay, this is Adharma, this is Dharma. But when it comes to Srimad Bhagavatam illustrating the same Mahabharata, again, in Bhishma Dev's episode, we are talking about this particular episode, not in, there's so much in Mahabharata that is being talked about, but we are talking, Srimad Bhagavatam only focuses on the pure devotional aspect. And nothing but pure devotional aspect. How, because we have this Jnana Chakshu, the vision of a devotee, how does he see this particular episode? That is where our acharyas come and give us the interpretation actually to understand the mood of that particular devotee. Bhishma Dev in Mahabharata can be portrayed as a Kshatriya, right? I mean, he fought against Kauravas, so he has to be killed. This is the logic. But we are looking at Bhishma Dev from a perspective of devotee. What happens to a devotee? A devotee, for devotee, Krishna personally comes. And and definitely he comes and gives darshan when he leaves the body. This is the glory of a devotee. Bhishma Dev, he did not want to be part of Kauravas, but Krishna wanted him to be part of this Leela, where he had to prove, if you are in the side of Kauravas, and wherever Krishna is not there, you will lose. But eventually, because you are a devotee, you will win. You will get my personal darshan. If you look at Mahabharata, Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed by Shringi for that, he was bitten by a snake. And this episode is portrayed in a different manner by, in Mahabharata, where Takshak, I mean, where the snake happened to kill, and there was no glorification of Sukadev Goswami. Sorry, not Sukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj from a perspective of devotee, but Srimad Bhagavatam highlights the devotee aspect and shows how Parikshit Maharaj was eager and inquisitive. He was not even worried about this snake bite or anything of that sort. And how he was able to renounce and give up everything to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. This aspect is glorified here. So this is how we have to, as I told you in the lecture as well, this Mahabharata should not be read alone. I mean, in the sense, it has to be looked up from the eyes of Srimad Bhagavatam, what our acharyas are trying to say. We are only interested in the pure devotional aspect, nothing but the pure devotional aspect. But with the karmis, they may be interested, what is dharma? They want piety, right? I want to go to heaven. So I need to know what is piety and what is impiety. If I do this action, this gives me piety. And if I do that action, that gives me impiety. So I don't want to do that. So they want to learn those things and want to go to heaven. But for us, heaven is not the motive. We just have to look at it from a pure devotional aspect, which is what our acharyas help us to understand and portray. And these leelas are relished by the Lord. These leelas are performed to enhance and get that loving transcendental devotional relationships. I mean, because devotees are hankering for that, Krishna comes to this world to get himself involved in these leelas, at the same time be able to teach us some lessons and morals that we can learn from the pastime. At the same time, what is happening? He's also able to kill the demons and uproot the adharma. All this is happening when he comes. The main thing is to relish the transcendental rasa with the different devotees who are hankering to have his association.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. I understand now. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that reminds me that there was a discussion that even Parikshit Maharaj, while he was, after the 7 days when the Takshak Nag came and bit him, he didn't feel it because he was so absorbed in Krishna Katha, and he passed on, and there was no
even he could have revoked the curse, Mataji. I mean, when Shringi cursed, he could have revoked the curse. He could have cursed him back, counter cursed, did so many things, but he took it as the will of Krishna. Because he was not, because he thought, oh yeah, if this is the plan, then Krishna has better plans for me. He wants, he wants me to come to his abode sooner, or this is the plan of Krishna, and I want to go by the will of Krishna and accept that as mercy.
Mataji, something that might not be relevant, but after Parikshit Maharaj left his body, his son, Jaya, I don't remember his name, but
yeah,
he wanted all
Janamejaya.
He wanted all the snakes to be destroyed. Did he do that then?
No, but then he was stopped by someone, right? I mean, he tried to do that, but then he was given instruction and not to do it, and then he immediately stopped. It is not the way to count. I mean, like how Dhruva Maharaj began to kill yakshas, and he was given advice by Kuvera, he immediately stopped it. Like that, he also realized it was not the way to go for a vengeance and take vengeance against the snakes. So he did stop it, Mataji.
Thank you very much. Thank you for answering all these small doubts that we have.
Sure.
Panchali, Mataji, is it possible for you to close this session for today?
Yes, Mataji. And is it possible to literally ask a 10-second question before I do?
Yeah, sure.
If it's okay with Mataji.
Mataji, is it okay? Radhika Mataji?
Oh, yeah, please go ahead. I'm fine.
Mataji, sorry about this. So this Mahabharata, as we see, as you rightly said, it is written from a Karma Kandi point of view. But then we go to Srimad Brihad Bhagavatam, where they talk about the Mahabharata in a more devotional way. And I can't remember, because that was by another disciple of Vasudev, wasn't it, who wrote the Brihad Bhagavatam, and then there Krishna was made the hero of Mahabharata. I was done in a more and presented in a more devotional way. I can't remember, so I thought I'd just ask you. But it's a completely tangent question, so it's absolutely fine for you not to answer.
Oh, no. Brihad Bhagavatamrita. see, whatever Parikshit Maharaj was hearing, whatever Parikshit Maharaj was hearing from Sukadev Goswami, so his mom actually wanted to listen about the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the essence? You are going to leave very soon, but I don't want you to leave without actually telling me the essence of that. You listening to you listening to Sukadev Goswami. So kindly tell me the essence. She was kind of looking for that. From that perspective, she asked this question to Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj, he happened to tell her the essence through Srimad Bhagavatam, which is commentary written by Sanatana Goswami. And as you rightly said, this has some context to Janame Jai. I'm just not sure about that part, but it is this Brihad Bhagavatamrita is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. He is talking about the essence, like he brings up the story of Gopakumar to help us understand what is the story of Gopakumar all about. Gopakumar is trying to go from one planet to another planet to another planet. It is for us to help us understand to the point that, oh, you don't have to go, because Gopakumar's ultimate destination was Goloka. And all these intermediates, we should not be worried as devotees. This was the point that he was trying to prove. And so many Siddhantas are being talked about. Brihad Bhagavatam, such a relishing pastime, such a relishing way that Parikshit Maharaj has put forth the story to Uttara. So if you get a chance to hear or read that particular book, it is a blessing, Mataji. So he talks about Gopakumar's story to specifically help us. I'm just trying to tell you the conclusion to say that, we don't have to be after Swarga, we don't have to be after these Makar, Tapa, all the Brahmajyoti, all these planets, they are not meant for us. A devotee is happy and satisfied only when he goes to Goloka Vrindavan. This is the devotee's mood, which is what is being conveyed, spoken as essence by Parikshit Maharaj to Uttara, her mother.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. You took us through another journey of Bhishma Dev's passing, and you dwelled on some very, very important points around why Yudhishthira Maharaj wasn't able to understand, and it was all Krishna's plans at the end of the day. And so thank you very much for taking us through that journey and giving us the points for us to remember and meditate on. So if I can please request all the devotees to please unmute yourselves and say Hare Krishna for the glorification of Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha Kripa Sindhu
eva cha Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anantapuri Vaishnava Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to
Radhika Kasturi Mataji ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you again, Mataji. Thank you,
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
For those joining from London, I think your times are going to be changing.
It's changing, Mataji. Yeah, so it's going to be 5 o'clock from tomorrow. Yeah, again, for the next 5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, for us also time change is happening, I think now the 6th or 7th. So
yes, yeah. I think in the US, so yours is about 4 and 8, whereas ours is 5 and 7. So it's always about 4 hours difference between the UK and US for 1 month of the year each year, because I think you go back 3 weeks after we do, or a week after we do, and then you return 3 weeks before we do in the spring.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Sorry, I think I've just confused everybody. my attempt at doing some astrological whatever. Thank you very